Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Piece of Pat Paints. I'm Pat. Sorry I was not on yesterday. You might actually still be able to hear a little bit. I was having a whole lot of trouble breathing yesterday. I'm breathing a lot better today, but yesterday was rough, and I wasn't going to be able to talk or probably really do much but sit there and watch a TV. So it wasn't the greatest thing in the world. But what are you going to do, right? So, here we are. We're back again. I'm a little late. I'm a little later. Yeah, I am about 2 minutes behind. I was busy cleaning brushes. You should definitely do that. This is a great brush soap if you've never used it before. It is the Masters Brush Cleaner by B&J. It's good stuff. I recommend it. It'll help keep your brushes really nice and doing their thing. Okay, so I'm going to take some... Oh, no, let's go ahead and take me off here. You don't really want to see me much anyway. And we're going to go ahead and look at... our guy. Alright, so we're moving right along. Got a lovely... He looks lovely. He really does. Great cloak back here. It looks great. Might have to move this camera a little bit here in a minute. So I have an idea on what to do with some of this stuff, and we're going to test that out, and then we're going to do these shoulders. If this test doesn't work, then we'll be able to change drainage directions really quickly. So what I want to do is I think I'm going to add just a little bit. See if he'll stand on his high heels. He will, as long as we don't make the table shake too much. So when you look at some of the source art, the center part of his armor has just a little bit more of a silver color. So we're going to dry brush just a tiny bit of silver on here. And I think that might be all we have to do to get this guy to look the way we want it to look. Which we shall see. If not, we can come back real fast with the bronze and really fix this up. But I really think that this is going to be our ticket, and it is going to be great because it's going to help us get a little bit of a difference between one part of the armor and another. I'm hoping that we do not have to come back and redo the washing is kind of my goal here, which that's one of the reasons why we're using the dry brush. I'm going to do this silver first before I go and do the bronze on the rest of it, so that way I don't have to do too much of messing around with my colors. Yeah, that definitely does. That's definitely looking a lot like the source material. I'm going to need to get a smaller brush to do that inside part, but I kind of always knew I was going to have to redo part of that cloak. That's why I haven't really messed with it too much, but yeah, it does. It does look a lot better. Looks a lot more like the cloak with a little hair. There we go. Yeah. I like that a lot better. Because when you look at him in the source material, that little section is a little bit more like that. I'll try to find it again real quick so we can take a look at it. Although it is definitely difficult to find things in my massive amount of photos. It takes a second, which is kind of annoying. I probably should have put it into like a favorites category. And want to look and see if his shoulders are the silver or the gold before we continue. Here we go. So kind of hard to tell. And this one's, yeah, it wasn't the plague. It's my thanks for saying hello, Dave. No, it's not the plague. It's this condition I have with my lungs. Yeah, see, now in this, it's more like dark underneath. It's not bronze at all, and that's more like from the game. But this is like a dark. It's really hard to see what they've done to make any difference of it. But yeah, I this condition I have with my lungs is it sucks, and it makes it to where sometimes, and it's not just my lungs, it's my throat too. So like my lungs, and when my lungs are going bad and my throat's going bad, it's like a double whammy, and it just doesn't work out very well. All right, so we're going to continue on. We're going to bring out this a little bit, and we may actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let's do a little blend. We're going to make it like a lighter bronze here. That way it's kind of got a little bit of both of those things crossing in here. Because, you know, in the different source material, it looks a little different. It kind of depends on what you're looking at. And the game, it definitely looks a little bit more towards that silver and less towards the bronze. I kind of like the idea of the one under and the one over, like that. Yeah. So now that's got a great look. Definitely. Okay, that's what we're doing. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. Now you stay. Be a good boy. I'll do the same thing here. A little mix. So much easier on this one since it's not on the model. Still, we're just trying to get. Oh, let me turn on that music. What am I doing? I had it all ready to go too. Doing a little bit more of this Epidemic Lounge. Just good stuff. I'm going to play some Elden Ring myself. Maybe check in later. Good luck with the head. Thank you, sir. I'm going to finish this up and I'll be right on top of that. Thanks for stopping by, brother. I mean, I did just assume that, but Rasmus is usually a male name from what I remember. I'm getting old too. It's hard for me to keep up with all that stuff. I really do try very hard. I'm just not. It's so wild. Like, as you get older, it's really hard to keep up with things like you used to. That's just how it goes. Yeah, I really like that two-tone there. And I think that's really gonna bring us closer to that source material like we wanted to. You can see that really. Oh yeah, That's the ticket. That's the ticket. Okay. So I'm going to do a little clean here. So we're going to switch over to that red. We don't want any of our metal really getting involved. And I started using these old rags to dry my brushes on. I used to do it on paper towels, but it's like you're just throwing away paper towels forever and ever and ever. And something just seemed wrong about that. So I stopped using them. And I went over to what I'm using now, which is, it's different. But I like it. It took a while to get used to, I will say that. You can always tell if I've been dry brushing. If you see me in public, my hands will be covered in some sort of strange smattering of paint. Not that a lot of you would have a chance of meeting me in public. I've noticed in my analytics most of my viewership is from outside of the U.S., which is really cool. I found that so neat. So yeah, if you're tuning in from overseas somewhere, hello and thank you. Cover up that little bit of silver flaw we got there. Ooh, gotta be careful with this red. It can go places really quickly. Places we don't want it to be. So gotta be super careful with it. We got a little bit on that silver. I'm gonna come back and try and fix that up here in just a second. A little bit isn't going to be a big deal under that armpit. The silver would reflect a little bit of that red, so it's not going to, just dabbing off any of that excess is going to be, well, all we really need to do there for it to look really nice. So, man, all that reflection, it's hard for the, there we go, it's hard for the camera to catch it because it's just so, it's looking so shiny. Alright, so that should be enough for that. We'll get his little base back over here, put him back in the base. We'll be able to glue that back on here shortly. I need to glue the other shoulder on shortly, and actually I think I want to do a little bit more. Now, this isn't a dry brush, but I think I just want to get a little bit more in there. Some of that red. There we go. You set off to dry, friend. Get these washes out of the water, or brushes out of the water. Especially after, and it's funny, I just cleaned this guy. He's just pretty white, nice, all red again. All colored again. That's the thing with the white ones, it's always like that. Okay. Now we gotta make some choices here. What we want to do. As far as mounting this head. Morning, my friend. Hello, Sir McBeardsley. Good to see you. Okay, so we're going to come back. We'll address this later. A couple of things we need to decide is, do we need to add something to this hair? Right here, where it's separating. And you can see it kind of separates off the bottom there. I'm almost feeling like we could get away with not doing some of that, but it just comes out too far. So we may have to put in a little bit of mill put right there and sculpt that in. But in order to do that first, we want to kind of get some of this base painting in here done. And then we'll add the mill put. So This is definitely going to be red. His hair was like a white too. It's like a white. Maybe it was blonde before, or maybe even brown before, but now it's pretty white. But this stuff right here would be so hard to get underneath there once it's mounted. You want to get this done. And it's alright here to do a little bit of overpainting. We're going to come back and really add a bunch of color to that. So we just want to make sure the top of that collar's done. Bring this back down. Up and down, and up and down, and up and down. So as you can see here, we kind of want to make sure we're getting like underneath here and stuff like that, where these places that you're just not going to be able to paint this once it gets on the model. Because being able to make a clean strike in here while it's on the model is impossible. You're trying to get in there like this and it's just not going to work. Alright. So this is going to be a white. This guy's pretty, his hair's pretty dang white, man. Of course it turned off on me. But like that hair's pretty white. White, gray. Pretty dang white and gray. So, looks like maybe a dirty gray we could probably do. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is we're going to do a little bit of umber. Like a really light umber as our base here. So a little bit of raw umber. This one should be fairly familiar for everybody. We use this guy a lot. Yeah, something like this is our base color. And we'll drop that same umber as a wash over top of this, and then we'll come back with our white and hit it up. And it should give us all the tones we need. And this can even vary a little in color too. It's not going to make that much of a difference. Woo! He's pretty grizzled too, so make sure you're not. Oh, you don't want to put too much paint in the cracks of his face. When you do that, you'll obscure some of the colors or some of the textures, and we'll lose them when we come back for the final bit. I gotta be mindful of these places where we know it's going to end up connecting. Like here, and here. We know it's connecting to the model there, and it may not come out the way we may have to change it a little bit as we go. We definitely don't need to worry about painting all the way down into places we'll be sculpting into in a minute. We do want to get this stuff started. And you got a little bit of red transfer over, and that's alright too. That shouldn't affect this overall deal. Because again, in the end, it's all going to be pretty white. Godfrey is really a man's man. Kind of hard to look at him and not think, hell yeah. Yeah, he definitely is the quintessential, like, brr. They even gave him, like, the Beckett hair thing. It's pretty funny. And we do have a small print error right here on his hairline. It's kind of hard to see it, but because it is a small error, and you probably wouldn't even notice unless you were looking really closely at it in person. But overall, this print has been just insanely good. There haven't been a whole lot of flaws, which is, I mean, for the painter, it's so great when it's all easy like that. Alright, I'm not going to worry about his eyebrows too much. We're going to take care of that after we do the rest of his face. You could put a little bit on there if you just wanted to mark it, you know, but don't fuss with it. It's all going to disappear when you start painting the face anyway. Alright, well, that's not going to make any difference when we get down to it. You gotta kind of, and I'm good at the field to give this too, where I'll get broke off on something that, like, I'm totally getting ready to put millput all over this, and if I start painting on it, I'm just gonna have to paint it all over again. But I want to make sure we're getting pretty good base coats on everything. Just gotta remember where I'm meeting up and where I'm not. And then again, that lion's arm is like right there. We may not even have to mess with it too much. I could probably just leave it. But I don't like doing that. I like it to be, you know, as close to perfect as possible. You kind of start learning there's perfect and then there's reality, which is as perfect as possible. Even when you go to competitions and you look at those guys' work, there's small flaws. That's how they determine who's the best at a show, is like who's got the least amount of flaws in that particular work, and it can be anybody's day. It's like, okay, well, this guy was the best painter of the event, but you know, 2 events down the road, it's the guy who was in 5th place. And that's just kind of how, like, that's the nature of it. You gotta get as close to perfect as possible and then let it go. Because it can't be flawless. It doesn't look like a real person because it isn't. It doesn't look like it does on a computer graphic because, well, it isn't. That's one of the things that AI, as cool as it is, you can always see, like, it doesn't look real because it isn't. You can, if you're really good at looking at things, you can look at it and say, that doesn't look real. You know, even the deepfakes have been, it's like, that's not them, though. That's, I don't know, maybe it's just my artist eye. I can see that better. I'm really good at looking at things and judging whether it's real or fake. Even if it's a hallucination brought on by some fear or whatever, it doesn't take me very long to look at that hallucination and be like, that's not real. Yeah, sometimes when you get sick or you're really ill, your mind can play tricks on you. Does it to me all the time. Alright, so there's some base coating down. Hey guys, biggest struggles, hands. Yeah, hands is really difficult. I don't even have to look at the hands typically. Like I can usually just look at the coloration of it, and I can tell that it's not real because of the way the light hits it. So like I don't even need to look for the hands, but that is 100% true. AI can't do hands, but most artists that I know have trouble with hands in general. Drawing hands is one of the hardest things you will ever do. Faces are easier. Faces are easier to draw than hands are, because like if a face looks a little off, your brain kind of like makes up the story behind why it looks a little off. Oh well, this guy. Well, look, his eyes droopy. Maybe he's he got hit or something. People do that. Like, that's real life, Oh, a weird scar, weird cuts, weird shaped faces are normal for us to look at. But like we don't look at other people's hands a lot unless they're shown like this, like perfect, like right there. Or like if it's hand models, the hand models they're all perfect, elegant hands. So whenever you see messed up hands, it looks weird. And like AI does this thing where it like adds more fingers and stuff because it can't figure out what it's doing. Like right here, it would just add like 6 fingers here. I'd have 6 fingers on each hand or something like that. And it is weird. Like those hands will get them every time. And feet sometimes too. Sometimes you'll be like, how many legs does that thing have? It's a riot. People don't. I get a lot of flack online because I don't particularly want to see all the AI myself. And so I'm usually like, oh, look at that heresy, because I'm just being bantry. But some people have been getting really bent out of shape about it lately. You're like, seriously? Whatever. Okay. Now I'm gonna try a little something crazy here. So here's our base flesh tone. We got that lighter tone. We're gonna come up with this is pale terracotta. For his face, I want to do a mix here of these two. Yeah, something like that. Got the tiniest lies. They looked like they were just white too. They didn't look like they had any pupils. Okay, now I'm going to recommend here at this stage you do just a little bit of overpainting on like the mustache and where the eyebrows and beard meets to his face. That being because you want that flesh color to extend underneath those particular parts of the hair, because when you look at somebody's beard or you look at somebody's mustache or somebody's eyebrow, you can kind of see the hair, the flesh underneath that. It's not like when you're looking at hair. Hair usually, not always, but a lot of times covers up the entirety of the flesh, so you can't actually see what they look like underneath. Where with mustaches and eyebrows and things like that, especially this close up, you're going to have the ability to see it underneath. So don't be afraid to do that, because we're going to come back again. We're going to drop some washes. We're going to drop some other stuff. This is just that very first base coat. And you see again why I told you not to worry about those eyebrows. You're just going to paint right over them anyway. Trying to get this flesh color on. Okay. Alright, make sure it's all nice and smooth. Tighten up your strokes. Make sure we got all the color we want. Make sure there's nothing sitting around we don't want. Because from here on out, we're going to avoid putting it in to any of the cracks of this face, except unless it's to wash something. We might put just a little bit of a red wash here, or pink or dark pink wash in the very end of all this. Alright. Cool thing about heads is they'll dry fast too, so you kind of just chill out. Wait a second. Drink some coffee. I'm kind of digging this music right here. This is Epidemic Lounge. This one's done by Creative Ryan. So if you're looking for @Creative Ryan, I guess you find more of this guy's stuff. It's pretty cool. It's good stuff. And okay. So now we're gonna go with our terracotta, pale terracotta, and we're just gonna pick up the tops of everything. This is similar to dry brushing, but not exactly. You don't want a super wet brush to do this. The brush needs to be kind of dried out a little bit, and the paint needs to be pretty. You don't want it flowing a lot on you. And this gets very difficult to do. Just remember the funny Godfrey meme I had. I sent it to you. Figured you'd pretty sweet. You know how much I like memes. Faces are one of these things where, like, the more you'll practice this, the better you'll get at it. And man, it is it's something people avoid a lot. Like, I should have a helmet on it. I watched a guy do a video about it. Maybe it was yesterday, maybe it was a couple days ago, I can't remember. And he said that same thing, and I was like, that's so true. That's so true. Okay. He's a grizzled old guy, isn't he? Old Gramps. And it really is about layer, layer, layer here. Okay. I'm gonna get my really little itty bitty guy, or 5/0, and I'm gonna go ahead and wipe these eyes before I go any further. Deep breaths, bold strokes. Yes. Looking real good here. Okay. Back to our pale terracotta. Pick a little bit more of this out. Looking great. What's for lunch today? I don't know. Probably we had I got up and I made breakfast for my son that's always here. I have one that's always here, and I have some that come in and out. But my son that's always here, I got up and I made breakfast for him today. Because I was like, man, I want some real hot breakfast. So I had like a big breakfast with eggs and hash browns and sausage and. I don't know that I'll eat a bunch of lunch. But I do have some. Just got a couple of nice salamis back there. I might slice off a little salami and a little bit of cheddar to go with it. My favorite things, little salami and cheddar. It's always good. A little extra excess water here. I don't know where that came from. Drag this guy over here. I'll just be sitting on the pallet. I don't know. Might have dripped off my brush, you never know. But I don't want this to be too thin. Alright, so this is the pale rose. This is another color step up from where we were. I'm going to do that same thing. Get this brush to a little bit more of a point. You might even have to go down a brush on something like this. From here, because this is really just these really these tight edges. Because now we're coming back for the sun by the light source. And so, like, if the bigger brush isn't doing it for you, go to a smaller brush. No harm in that. Hey, no shame, damn it. There's no shame. I've had a couple people try to shame me for the way I do painting. I'm like, man, can you beat me though? Audio is doubled. I don't know how to turn it. I wonder how I turn it. Did that fix it? Thanks for the tip. I appreciate that. So I can't actually hear the other side, so I definitely don't know. I think I may have accidentally hit a button before I started. Hopefully that fixed it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, brother. Really do. Thank you, man. Yeah, it was a button. I hit a button, I guess, before. I'm not very technically adept, so I think I hit the wrong button prior to starting, and I think I turned that on accident. My friends desperately try to keep me up on it. They're like, Pat, come on. It's 2024. You've got to be able to work a computer better than this. I'm like, Great, man. I'm so glad it does. I really appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. See, now that's real friends right there. Hey, thanks, man. It's a slow process. Like I said, you just keep adding those colors up as you go like that, and it's going to come out just like you like it. I got a couple of these spots right here I kind of missed where I want that darker pink. Totally didn't even realize that. Yeah. That's funny. Alright, I got that little place I missed. Now, if you want to make it look even deeper, you could come through, and with this we really do want to go back down a brush, or 2 brushes down to this 5/0. And we want a real, got that water off there, I want a real liquidy version. Almost like an ink. And you could always come back in and tighten up some of these areas around here if you wanted to look more bloody. That's not absolutely necessary. But if you have like scars and things like that, that's a good thing to do. I'm going to take that out because I don't actually want it like that. So then you can always do that, and it'll make it more red if you want scar effects or things like that. And that'll really help. He does have this one scar. Maybe we should do it for this. This thing totally looks like a scar. So you can see, there we go. And see how we just brought that scar on his nose like clean out real fast. And so it's an easy way to go ahead and do that. And you could do that for all your, lines too, like where it's coming in to say the mustache or whatever, to kind of tighten up your lines. And also we want to do this a little bit for his lip, because the lip is not going to be the same. Now we don't want it to be like straight red because we don't want him to look like he's wearing lipstick. Or maybe we do. I mean, if you do, put more red on it. But you know, there's that. All right, so that crown, I think that crown was definitely obscured. It was definitely obscured where we weren't going to be able to see it. There we go. Okay, so that's gold for sure. That's gold for sure. Oh, bad. Let's put a little gold. Because why not? Why not put more acrylics and colors in here? Yeah. More colors. I like color. I try to put as much color in as I want, and I can. So that's why we have this whole thing back here. Anybody, for those of you who have not seen the other parts of this model, come look there. This guy is huge. It is a massive, massive piece. We've been working on it for several hours now, on the show, several episodes, and it's magnificent. It's definitely an opus of work for me. It's fun. I've really enjoyed it. This one may be my favorite one I've done so far, honestly. And I liked Melania. I thought she was amazing. But honestly, I really dig this one. Maybe it's like Shai was saying, he's a man's man, so it's kind of easy to get in on his shtick. Like, oh yeah, no, he's definitely a hell yeah kind of model. Alright, so all this is going to require a lot more patience and a steady hand. Don't get crazy coming through here. Stay on target, you know. We really don't want to try and have to pull gold colors out of hair if we can avoid it. There's going to be a little, but the least amount possible, the better. So I'm in here with my 0.5 again, or 5/0. Trying to make sure we just get what's necessary. And keep pulling that paint through too. Don't let it bubble up on you or sit. That's another real easy mistake to make, is just letting not pulling the paint through enough and letting your brush strokes sit for too long. They'll harden up on you and you're in trouble. Especially on something like this, it's such a small area that it's going to dry relatively quickly. There we go. Up to a point, come on. Play nice. There we go. Alright. Okay, so all that done, now it's time to start dropping some washes. So we're gonna make a nice dark umber here, or raw umber, and this is, we're gonna use this for our hair. And we'll come back and put the white down on top of it. I'm a sculptor brushing up on my painting skills, hoping to paint a few sculpts soon. Is there any benefit to learning brush techniques over airbrush? Yes. Airbrush is really good at softening things up. But if you're trying to get straighter lines, sometimes it's better to be able to use your brush. You also, when you look into doing miniature faces, on the miniature it's easier to use a brush. On like a larger sculpture, the airbrush is great because you can get it all done, and you can get it done super fast. It's super smooth, and I love my airbrush. I try not to do too much airbrush technique on the show because a lot of people don't own them. And airbrushes are finicky, and it's another downfall to airbrushes is just constant maintenance and cleaning. Not that there isn't maintenance and stuff with brushes, but it's not like it is with an airbrush. You really have a commitment to cleaning it and keeping it going. Got my start in minis back in the early thousands. Always brush them. The hard lines makes a lot of sense with brushes. Yeah, exactly. So like, there's just, you want to be able to do them both. Honestly, you need, if you want to be good, because there's certain things that you just need to be able to airbrush, and there's certain things you need to be able to sculpt or use with a regular brush. And I even do light sculpting here on the show. You know, just fixing things and getting stuff to fit right. And it definitely, when you can do all of it, it makes a big deal. Being able to do the airbrushing, the regular brushing, the sculpting, it really is awesome. Yeah, you're not going to be able to use, you can't use the washes necessarily with an airbrush. It doesn't quite go on that way. But you can definitely use that combination of, you know, brush washing and then airbrushing. Airbrushing is great for what they call OSL, which is object source lighting. Like, airbrushing is really the way to go because you can get it to where it will spray it onto the model like light would hit it. And so for lighting effects, that airbrush, if you're trying to get deep, crazy lighting effects, that airbrush is second to none. But if you're trying to get deep, super hard details, sometimes the airbrush will fail you in that one regard. And then when you're talking about, again, like stuff like on the back of this cloak, like this was made to look handmade. I wanted it to have that look, and you can't do this with an airbrush. That's not gonna, that you just can't. The airbrush won't do this. But I wanted it, and I wanted it to look like that impressionistic painting. McBeardley says, I get shorts of people painting figurines, and I saw someone doing the black with the mineral spirits to get their shadows and patina. I was like, hey, I know that technique. Pat showed. Yeah, that is a great technique. The old nap wash. And they make some cool products that are similar like that. Tayama makes a panel liner that works really well on if you're doing machines and you're just trying to line panels, and it acts similarly to that easy mix, which we're getting ready to pull out again here in a second. And then I think Citadel makes a thing called Nun Oil, which works out really, really well too. But yeah, it's looking really great. Really happy with this guy so far. He's gonna look so cool when he's done. Okay, so yeah, speaking of that, let's get that stuff out. If I can open it up. Oh, goodness, I about had to get the strap out for that. Alright, so again, just like Mr. McBeardley was just saying, this is a mix of mineral spirits and oil paint. And it makes kind of like a grimy, slick oil wash, and it will find the cracks in just about anything. And this works really well with metal. It can work on other stuff too, but metal is what I primarily use it for. We need to be real careful because this stuff runs like the dickens. So I'm just barely, oops, see, be careful. And it'll go everywhere if you're not careful with it. Just pull off that excess. Luckily this is up on that eyebrow. It's not gonna be a big deal. Round my tip back up. Don't forget to round your tips back up too. This paint might quite be dry enough. I thought it was, but maybe not. There we go. Come on. It'll play nice for us. Yeah, I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Kind of keep him tilted upside down. That'll help. So we do want to get right on the edge without going over. It is a real Goldilocks kind of situation right there. Don't worry too much about the hair, but because we got a lot we can do with this hair to fix that. But that face, we do not want to ruin that face. We did so much work there. And there's an example of how fast it can run. But again, back here in this, especially back here, we got a lot. This is all going to be pretty dark anyway. And we're going to hit a lot of this up with that white. So it's not going to hurt anything too much. If we get a little over glazing. Alright. Let that dry. Oh. And again, we can go ahead after it's dried for a second. We're just going to take an old makeup blush brush, take a little bit of excess off there, especially on that front. And then we'll come back and we'll really polish this up as soon as that oil dries up, which that'll take a second. So we can start working on some of this hair and stuff before that gets done. Okay. So I'm going to do a little bit of white here. That's light pink still from the brush soap. That red is really in there, so we're going to have to get that out. So just run that stuff in there. Let that sit up for a while, and when we'll wash that off there, it'll come off there fine. So what do we do when your dry brush is acting crazy? Well, that's when it's good to pull out an old nasty synthetic that you've had laying around for a while, because you know, it's shredded. It's kind of like a dry brush. It'll do the job. Again, the idea is we're just trying to catch just the bare edges of this. We're going to do this stuff with a detail brush, but we can get this stuff done pretty easily and quickly with just dry brushing it. And we're also trying to get this guy mounted as soon as possible, because we've got to fix some of the stuff, and we can't even finish that hair until it's fixed. Now in this instance, we're going to probably want to come in this with layers. Kind of let it dry, and then come back with another gentle layer of that white. And just keep bringing it up until we're at the level of white we want. And some of that stuff is still drying from that wash, so and you can overdo this too, so be careful. Don't get too carried away. Okay, we're back to our 5-0, and this is the thinnest brush, or the smallest brush we're using here. And you're almost trying to get the individual hairs here. If you don't, you get a little blobby. It's going to be fine. It's not going to make that big a deal. But pull your strokes out from it like it's hair. Right? Follow that already established pattern that you have, and it will work just fine. It's a big old hair right there. We can even keep bringing that down. And you can see how that pink underneath, where we overpainted, is really helping sell that the mustache is coming out of his flesh, not out of somewhere weird. Right? Yes. Alright, we're into overtime now, guys. Since I missed yesterday, I feel like I owe y'all a little extra. I'm gonna keep going until my eye gets blurry or my hand gets too tired. Or my lungs start going crazy again. That throat thing's nuts. It's like my throat will start spasming and I can't breathe in very well. And typically the same thing that's triggering that is triggering my asthma. So I also can't breathe out. So that I'm stuck in this spot where I'm just like and it's like I hyperventilate. It's so awful. I'm just watching and eating lunch. They like, yeah, baby, I like it. I like it. Pick up some more viewer hours. Yeah, that's good. That's what we want it to look like. That's magnificent. Okay. Again, guys, don't be afraid of faces. It's okay. It's intimidating as hell. I understand, but like you gotta jump in and keep trying, and you'll get better and better at them. I was terrible at faces when I first started painting, and you just it really is just kind of practicing using the brush itself. Like you just get better if you'll do it. But I know it's it can be hell of intimidation. It's nuts, especially when you see like, oh, people like Sergio Calvo and the Squidmar guys, or there's a couple of these guys that are really great miniature painters out there. Oof, it's a little too much. A little too much. And remember, white's your friend, man. It will fade around a little bit, and you can kind of trick it out. So I just saved that little thing, no problem. I think maybe we're finally ready to kind of do a little bit more on this crown. Just gonna try to pull out the shiny tops of everything. That way we've got some details, or at least the illusion of some details. Alright, that's been sitting long enough. We're gonna get the soap off of him. Alright, there's a clean dry brush. Now it's not so red. We could use that later. I feel like we're doing really good with this one though. So why mess with a good thing? Now again, right here, you may want to just go ahead and use your regular brush instead of trying to dry brush that little section, and that's a little kind of harder to get to. Or any places where you feel like your dry brush is going to be too big to get in, just go ahead and come back with your regular brush later. When you're dry brushing, you really are looking to kind of get a lot of that paint off that you put on it. You just want it it's like as dry as possible. That's going to give us something to build on right there. I probably am going to come back with my regular brush and do a lot of that work. Now, a lot of guys like to put their heads on like posts. This one's kind of already got a post, so I kind of let it go. When they're the little itty bitty Warhammer heads, though, man, you gotta You got to put them on a skewer or something, man. They're tiny. You'll break your hand trying to hold them and paint them at the same time. And I think this is where a lot of people make their mistakes. They'll put the little tiny heads on the models and then try to paint them. Sometimes you don't have an option, but you do. See, that's still too wet. We're not gonna be able to do any dry brushing there. Well, I was kind of hoping to have this guy done, but I think we're gonna have to let it sit and dry so that we can finish up some of this stuff. But we got real close, and he's looking real awesome. And Japanese curry really hits the spot. Yeah, I like a good Japanese food. Alright, definitely we're definitely coming along now. Look at that. So now here's where our question is. Do we need to fix this crack? That is where we are. It is glaringly obvious to me right here. But once we have, it's the wrong arm. Where's the one I want? They were both over there. Oh no, I put it over there. There's a big old lion right in the way. And he's gonna be like down in the way. Alright, hold on, let's see. Let's see how much this is really gonna make a difference. See, it's like down on there. Oh, I don't know. I feel like I'll feel bad that it's not done right. I feel like I'll be sitting there angry about it the entire time. So we're gonna mix up a little millput tomorrow and do that. Yeah, that's what we're gonna have to do. So we'll mix up a little millput tomorrow. We're gonna finish his head. We'll finish doing all the hair tomorrow, and then we'll set that little bit of millput in there. Ah, it's so close. I could probably get away with not doing it. It's so weird because I can't tell how his hair's supposed to be cut. I hate being a perfectionist. Sometimes. We gotta paint this here too before we put that head in. So we're gonna come back. We're gonna deal with this tomorrow. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna take my own advice, and I'm gonna sit back, and I'm gonna relax for a second, and I'm gonna think. Whenever you're stuck, that's what you should do. So that's what we're gonna do. He's so big. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna sit back. We're gonna let it dry up. We're gonna do this little piece, and I'm gonna think about what we're gonna do, and we're gonna come back tomorrow. But yeah, the face turned out really, really well. Really happy with that. And I like our new model look. I like our new metal look. I love that overbrush of that silver. It stands out even more in person, and really looks stylish. So anyway, you guys have been awesome. Thank you to Fetid Flesh. Thanks for dropping by. I really appreciate the heads up on the sound. I will definitely be checking that more in the future. Also, Rasmus, Mr. Johansson, who's come by now a few times. Really do appreciate you, my friend. And of course, the ever famous David Cunningham and Sir McBeardsley. You guys are always appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. I really can't do this without it. Here we go. I'll get myself back on there. So yeah, it's these little things that kind of keep me coming back for more. You know, it's the folks that will that do the commenting, do the liking, watch the videos, just simply watching. It really, because I see that, I see how many people watch videos, and you can track all that stuff. I don't watch at it. I used to have it on my dashboard, and I took that off because it made it a whole lot easier, honestly. Because now I'm not worried about it. I don't look over there all the time. I got a lot more done. So, anyway, thank you all. Thank you very much. We're gonna see you guys later. I'm gonna contemplate this on the Tree of Woe. A little Conan reference for those folks that are Conan fans. And we're gonna see you guys tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.